Hello again. How's it going? I'm back again with another playthrough of Rift Wizard 2. This time I'm doing more of a hybrid sorcery conjuration build, starting with Magic Missile. It's one of my favorite cantrips in the new Rift Wizard. A lot stronger than it used to be, that's for sure. But yeah, early rifts, what we're basically looking for is just any sort of damage boost. More HP is good. This room looks interesting, but I don't really have. I could probably deal with that. Although the Jar of Embers is probably better for our summons. The Jar of Embers is really strong. It basically converts on non-fire enemies into having a fire aura. There's a chance of them having that, which is really quite powerful. So we're gonna go with that. This realm isn't really good for us either, but should be able to do okay. We'll probably have to use a teleporter in just a second. Orcs are 2 shots, but we can use the ghost to sort of buffer between them, so we only take 1 damage instead of 5. Still not. It kind of works. I should probably move. Yeah, Glaive is really cool. It's a new spell in Rift Wizard 2. It does physical and arcane damage. And it hits twice on the same tiles that you shoot it towards, right? Unless you move, and it kind of like... Yeah, so you can throw it once, it'll hit enemies on the way out, and then it'll hit them back on the way back, right? So that's... It's nice, it's nice. I've been trying to find a way to fit it into a build. Next up, we'll probably just go for health. Spriggan and Bogart are not a problem for Glaive, because it hits twice, it can break their shields and then it can kill them on the same turn. Kind of like Icicle. And for the witches, always focus the witches, ignore the ghosts, because the ghosts will disappear. And they'll just use up all your spell charges if you focus on the ghosts that are punching you for 1 damage each. Otherwise, yeah, the combination of Moonglaive and Magic Missile is not too bad for a starting combo. I mean, nothing competes with Fireball and Icicle, but like, as far as single target stuff goes, it's not bad. The orbs are probably the pick here. Extra damage on sorceries is still nice, even though we're going for a conjuration build. Yeah, see, we can pick up Golden Skull for 5 points. And just sort of let them do a bunch of the work, tank for us. They will teleport at their own sort of volition, so you can't really control exactly where they go. But for the most part, they're gonna attack something, right? Sometimes they'll teleport out of range and just become kind of useless, but I mean, that's a small price to pay. The things can heal you, which is pretty rare as far as spells go in this game. Most things don't actually heal you. Yeah, make sure not to run out of magic missiles. Glaive can't hit things that are embedded into walls. You have to hit the tile behind them, so you gotta be careful. And now Arcane Frenzy Mask is good. HP is kind of important. A dagger. Robe of Twilight. God, what? So we drop right on top of the SP. And we just sort of try to, I guess the plan here is to get to the next SP, get Steelshaper, so we can summon more than one Golden Skull, but I kind of want to clear out enemies before I just use the teleporter right away. Right now I'm just trying to like think. Yeah, if we can keep that, deal with the glass mage, use teleporting away, we can sort of maybe get that rift under control. I don't think we're at risk of dying, because the enemies that are chasing us do very little damage, and even if we could glassify it up for a few turns, it's not the end of the world. The skulls are still kind of healing us, although poison prevents that. Now we're out of charges, but instead of getting overwhelmed, we'll just use a mana potion. Let's get a few more skulls. That's okay, we won't be needing that many mana potions in the mid game. Okay, so now we have Steelshaping, we can use that, it'll replenish our golden skulls. And now we can just hide in a corner. Summon as many as we can. And the glass mage, who's been hiding in the corner, is forced to face us. Now the game really kind of opens up, and the build kind of becomes flexible from here, because once you have this is like a huge power spike, right? Instead of 2 skulls, we have like more than 10? So the choice is basically what to get next, right, from here. And usually what I like to get next is Bone Wheel, which is a skill, an upgrade for Golden Skull, which lets them use Wheel of Death, which does 200 damage to a random target, so that now your skulls are dealing holy and dark damage, which makes them really, really, really strong, especially when you can summon over 10 of them. And what we'll probably do is we'll get Soul Harvest, so we can summon a bunch of them, like an unlimited amount, and then, you know, we'll get stuff for damage and go from there. But these things deal so much damage on their own. It's like, it seems almost unnecessary to increase their damage, right? It gives you a lot more flexibility in whatever else you want to do. So at this stage, all we really care about is looking for some upgrades that are relevant to our build, and most of those are in the stuff like Conjuration buffs, or even sorcery buffs that we can use for Glaive and Magic Missile. right now, yeah, you can pretty safely set up. And because the skulls don't move out of the way, they don't travel, they teleport, but like they won't move. You can use them to kind of block hallways. And that will reprioritize enemy AI towards targeting what they can attack. So they'll usually turn around and fight one of the skulls that they can target, as opposed to you. They won't try to like force their way to you if you block the path. Unless of course they can fly, but like we're just talking about like grounded enemies, I guess. I mean, the same applies for corridors, right? So like in a cramped corridor, you can block off enemies, they can't see you. They can't get to you, so they don't even try. Here, I'm basically just looking for dark and holy immunes. I see none, so, you know, we're fine. We'll go take out Time Striders, I guess. It gives us one turn to set up. Not as strong on, like, say, a sorcery build, but still very, very good. An extra turn just to get one skull up is enough, usually, to redirect enemy attention away from you. Very valuable. Again, as you can see, this build is kind of just on autopilot at this point. We could probably pick up another Jar of Embers. Or we can get Golden Claw or something and just get more damage. Probably go with the Golden Claw. We can get other sources for damage. Dark Lord is good here. We'll pick that up first, just for, instead of starting with 2 skulls, you start with 5, which is nice. We'll also get Disperse. Disperse will keep us safe in the early few turns of the realm. Only that, but Dark Lord increases the damage of your minions. And I guess none of the other relevant Lord skills do that. So it just made sense. Now, it probably doesn't really matter too much what you pick next. Probably go with the Metal Helm. Mantis Maker could be nice, but like, we don't need it. The enemies here are not too threatening. Shambler, no. Mini Shamblers, not a threat at all. Metal Slime. Yeah, there's really no, like, I know I was gonna say commentary and like decision making and stuff, but there's really not much to talk about, right? It's just blast whatever you got, come in, summon your skulls, hide in the corner, right? Like, I look at these guys, even these troubling masks are not too much trouble. You know, skulls can just sort of get started somewhere, and then we can just sort of use Glaive to replenish our skulls if we run out of charges. If we don't, we can also just wait a turn or two, and then some charges will come back as they kill the enemies. And at this point, it's like there's not even anything threatening left. We can just hold spacebar and finish the map. And we'll probably just hold for for the next upgrade. Probably no need to buy anything right away. We'll just see, because of the huge power spike, right? Every time you get upgrades on Gold Skull, it just sort of carries for so long, so it gives you room to hold 4 skill points without feeling like you're putting yourself on the back too hard. But yeah, Immortal Warlocks are kind of nasty. They have tons of holy resistance, which makes them kind of annoying to fight with skulls. So we could probably just out damage them just with sheer numbers here. They're tanky though, no lie. I guess we can get our Conjurer just for extra points in Golden Skull. We start with 7 instead of 5. So as you can see, the goal is basically to make a wall of skulls that serve as like sort of a damage shield. The enemies will target them instead of you. I mean, at this point, there's no real... I mean, there is strategy. Like, there is strategy, but and you can absolutely die, right? Like, you can pick a bad rift, or you can put yourself in a dangerous situation right away. Like here, on a corridor or an empty room, no real enemies. This seems perfectly good spot to drop in. Use Disperse to keep enemies away from you. Once you have a moment, keep casting those skulls. And it's pretty straightforward from here. Now, as far as gear is concerned, anything that supports your either arcane sorceries or your holy or dark conjurations are good. So I didn't really get any game-breaking gear this run, but like the Jar of Embers, this definitely helps. But as you can see, right, like this build isn't super gear reliant. Like you don't need a wand or staff to make it work. You don't need to get lucky on some early rifts. As long as you can kind of get past the first few realms using Moonglaive and Magic Missile, and honestly you can throw Fireball in there or whatever you want just to make it. It literally, like lots of stuff works, right? Like I'm gonna take Violent Warp here, and I'm thinking about potentially making my arcane sorceries a bit more serious. So they're kind of pitiful right now. And the skull, since the skulls are doing so much damage, maybe I'll just, you know, give myself a way to sort of fight back as well, instead of being such a harmless and helpless Conjurer. Can't do anything on his own, needs his minions to help him. Like, even now, it's still super weak. Probably gonna have to. Gonna have to be careful here. Though most of these enemies are not long range, it's just those worms, ice worms. As long as you position the skulls in front of you between yourself and the enemies, you should be okay. One thing to note that I didn't really mention up until this point is that the skulls can actually hurt you with their beams. That holy beam attack, it can hurt you too. So you don't want to like be in front of them, like directly in front of them. It's hard to notice because they also heal you on the same turn, so. But you might be wondering, it's like you can definitely kill yourself with these things. Although I wouldn't I mean, yeah, you could get armor to resist it, that also works. Or you could just like position them in front of you and they'll never shoot you, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. At this point, it's basically just, you know, checking rifts, right? Like that's where the majority of the strategy comes in. For a build like this, it's kind of like you already have an idea of what you want. You're just checking to see if you're strong enough to take stuff down and where you can position yourself when you come into a rift, right? More stopwatches you have. Chaos spells are really nice, especially on these later round rifts where the enemies are really strong, so they can kill each other really well. So the chaos spells really come in handy when at the beginning of a room, you know, instead of them killing you all together, you get them to fight amongst each other. It gives you a bit of time to set up and whatnot. Here I'm just seeing how much yeah, see, like the Moonglaive, it two-shot that Iron Fiend, so it's not terrible. And yeah, the numbers game works out in the end. All you need to do is just keep casting, and like, it doesn't matter how many enemies there are. You can get your skulls to sort of go sneak into their backline. That huge mob of enemies will sort of quickly or slowly start depleting. Enemies that are immune to dark attacks are usually going to slow things down quite a bit because Bone Wheel doesn't like know that the enemy is dark immune, so it'll shoot them with the random dark attack and they're immune, so it doesn't damage them. You can actually get the spell and then like upgrade it so it doesn't do that anymore, but I don't think it's worth it. I think it's fine. Just to like, but obviously, I mean, it's smart. It's nice that they have these crazy upgrades and stuff. And I probably don't like the idea of guys who can freeze me. This one seems decent. I'll probably just go here. So we just throw down skulls. Disperse. Get more skulls. Disperse. More skulls. Won't be a huge problem. Immortal Cockatrice. Cockatrice are not as dangerous in this game. I feel I don't know what it is. It's like they'll petrify. Like status effects in general in this game is like because you get clarity right away. It feels like in Rift Wizard 1 you would get stun locked to death, whereas in Rift Wizard 2 it's always like you get one turn of clarity just to like pause and think. It's like I'm about to get frozen again. What do I do? And so it gives me that like that out, right? So I think this, yeah, this build itself is a little bit nutty, just because it's taking advantage of Moonglaive Steelshaper thing. But like Steelshaper works with other metal spells too, right? So like, I'm not even showing the most powerful form of this build, which in my opinion is the spike balls. But let me know if you want to see that. Maybe I'll do a video on that as well. But yeah, at this point it's basically just keeping yourself alive. Corner method, just, you know, try to out heal their damage and try to keep their attention away from you, right? Sometimes that means dispersing your guys to random locations. Sometimes it means something else entirely. I think I'm actually... No, we're doing okay. I think we're winning. It's those damn spiders that are blocking our they're protecting the Insanity Fiends. And the Insanity Fiends are immune to our arcane stuff, so they're not getting Moonspeaker triggered on them. They need to be hit with the beams. And I think they're also immune to dark, so that's why things are a bit slower. I should probably get that Wheel of Death spell. It's very expensive though, so I feel like it's unnecessary. Like, as opposed to getting Ricochet and stuff like that, you could probably get Wheel of Death and stuff and make it more specialized. That's probably a more optimal way to do this build. So this guy, Dark and Holy Immune. Our skulls can't do jack to him. They can burn him with their burning passive, and that's it. But that's why we got the arcane stuff, right? Oh, we'll get another golden claw, I think. The 2 golden claws. Not a ton of boosts. Not even a staff. And now we fight Mordred. This fight is a bit more tricky as a sorcerer, or as a conjurer, than it is as a sorcerer, because I don't really have purity or anything to sort of protect myself, but like the issue is more, he's going to teleport, and he's going to teleport you, and he's going to respawn a bunch of enemies and change the map over and over, right? Every like 10 turns or something, he does that. So the strategy is kind of a mix of luck and having a strong enough build to take on a wide variety of enemy types. Gold Skull is kind of, you know, a good example of that. It can kind of handle most things. And so the plan is basically just to overwhelm the map with a bunch of Gold Skulls, so many that even when they start shifting the map, there's still so many Gold Skulls that the enemies just get like distracted immediately and they get taken down immediately, and then, you know, that's the strategy anyways. The execution is always a little bit different. I'm just using Disperse to keep the enemies away from me, and when I feel like I'm safe, I will summon, then I use Disperse, keep the enemies away. I'm okay with sticking in lightning for a few turns, but yeah, just make sure we're out of Disperse. That's not good. We'll teleport over to Mordred, see if we can get some damage on him. And we got teleport. Oh, we're still okay. We could probably just keep summoning. I should probably get a teleportation spell at some point, but I have another teleporter, so if I need it, I need it. And I have 4 skill points. I can get Blink. So over here, we'll teleport again. We'll keep the left side of the map. Now we can keep summoning. Not in tremendous danger. We're not losing HP. Okay. Now we're losing a lot of HP. Almost dead. We might need to heal, yeah. Okay. And now at this point, the map is kind of getting overwhelmed slowly. He shifted it. There's still so many skulls on the map. They're not targeting me anymore. I can breathe for a second and just summon more skulls. And we got teleport again. Disperse. Oh, there we go. I think we're at critical mass, pretty much. Almost dead. 1 life left. 2 lives left. And yeah, as you can see, it's a constant, like it's a battle, right? Because the RNG kind of keeps us in check, but we have enough skulls that the enemies that he summons gets wiped like pretty quick. And then there you go. Right, so thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, then like it, subscribe, you know,